Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry, it's been a couple of weeks, but we're back. That was, yes, you can tell it's been a couple of weeks because of that intro.
Our last intro is me going like, we're back! So it's like, yeah, it's even a surprise for us now. We were able to afford to go watch something new.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry it's been a while, but now we're going to review Ad Astra. So Ad Astra tells the story of, basically Brad Pitt plays an astronaut of sorts who has to go on a mission to find his dad who went missing on a mission like decades ago, basically.
It's a story that's happened before. His dad is a legend of the industry, and so everyone now looks up to him to be following in his father's footsteps.
It's much less of a kind of adventure than you would expect based on that premise. Like, it is basically a character study.
Yeah. It's very slow.
It is slow, like the whole way through as well. I was thinking slow build up, but then at some point it would pick up, but it's just the whole thing is slow. And, you know, slow doesn't mean bad, but it's obviously not to everyone's taste.
It definitely feels like a longer film than its actual runtime. I think it's just over 2 hours, and there were definitely periods of time where I thought it must surely be near the end, and then it just kept going.
Yeah,
and I was like, what?
The third act felt like it lasted forever, so that's like a little nitpick that I had with it. But generally speaking, I think it was the way that I said it to you was I appreciated it more than I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was more impressive than exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it looks gorgeous. It was shot by Hoyte van Hoytema, who is probably my favourite cinematographer, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved his work on Her and Dunkirk and Interstellar. And like, not only does it just look gorgeous, like the shot composition and the visual effects are amazing as well, but it's just the colour schemes that he'll go with. Like, you'll just see a scene and it'll just be like randomly like really blue or really green or really purple or something. And usually the colours do indicate something to do with the mood that's in the scene, and it just always works really well, and it helps to like freshen it up.
It's some of the most impressive colour palettes I've ever seen. In terms of that, like, mix it in with the cinematography and some of the lighting used, I thought visually it was very impressive.
It was, yeah, definitely. And Brad Pitt was impressive as well. You know, I mean, Brad Pitt, you know, he's been in 2 films this year now, and he couldn't have really given 2 more different performances. But yeah, he's very like quiet and introspective, and something I've always appreciated about Brad Pitt is he's not an over actor. You know, like, as great as Leo is, you can always tell, like, okay, he's going for the big kind of, you know, he's going for a big angry scene or something like that. But Brad Pitt, he's always like reining it in. He's always subtle, and he really is a character actor. Like, you see him in this, and even though you recognise it's Brad Pitt, you kind of forget that it's Brad Pitt at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of different emotions throughout this film, and I think Brad Pitt is very good at capturing all the different like nuances that his character could portray throughout. Like, there's some parts where he's visually sad and you can almost tell like he's feeling it. There's some where he's angry, which we've seen before, and then there's some where you almost know where his character's viewpoint is at. Like, he's in denial at one point, then he grows to accept something, and
Yeah,
he's just very good. He's got a very wide range.
yeah.
But we knew that. I mean, it's Brad Pitt at this point. But it's nice when a film like this comes along and it just reminds you on how good he is.
Just want to tell you guys, we found this really obscure actor called Brad Pitt. He's really good. You should watch out for him.
Calling it now. Yeah.
The sound design in general for this film was really good. Like, the score was good, and the sound design in terms of, like, when the loud noises hit, like there's a scene with an explosion, for instance, the loud noises hit. And there's a lot of silence as well, which helps to emphasise the loudness.
It's very accurate, I think, is the best way to describe it. Like, a lot of this film does take place in space, and they are very loyal and realistic to what it would be like in that scenario.
Yeah, it's very quiet, very muted. It kind of reminds me of that film Moon a little bit, in the sense of you watch that and you go, this is probably what it would be like to be in space.
The film does have its problems. Like, while it's very like pretty to look at, the pacing is not really all there at times. Like, it could be paced a little better throughout. Like, there are a lot of moments where the action just stops, but there's not really much happening. It's not like it's particularly character building or anything like that. There's just a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
In a sense. And I mean, that's accurate, like, especially when you know how long space travel would take to get from one destination to another. Like, these things aren't close, people. And so there's a lot of time where it's kind of like, you're almost idling around with Brad Pitt's character. Like, you know, he's waiting, and so are you, and you join him on this journey.
From what I can remember, I don't think any scenes were pointless. I think every scene did introduce a new character or some new information or something like that. That each scene was like, it felt way longer and way slower than it necessarily needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that that's the kind of film that James Gray wanted to make, but at the same time, the runtime did feel like it was wearing on me. And when you got a film that's 2 hours and 5 minutes, you shouldn't really feel that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In terms of story and the language used in this film, it's kind of basic, isn't it? Like, this is a story we've all seen before.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't really much memorable dialogue, and at times, like, hardly any dialogue at all.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it wasn't brilliant, but...
well, that's the thing, it's less about the external, like, objective, and it's more about the internal goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's much more about Brad Pitt kind of coming to terms with how he feels about certain things and trying to figure certain things out about himself, rather than going on these crazy space adventures and stuff. I mean, there is a couple of scenes, like there's a car chase scene, I guess. And I think there's a couple of other scenes that we won't ruin, but they're kind of action-y, but not in like the traditional sense.
Yeah. Well, I think you summed it up well there, and it reflects that because throughout the film, Brad Pitt does a voiceover, and you'd think that in some films it wouldn't really work, but for the message this film's trying to get across, it kind of does. You definitely feel this character's like internal struggle.
Yeah, at first I didn't think that it did work. The first couple of things he said, I was like, what, is this necessary?
That's before like it became obvious what the direction of the film was going to be.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It gets to the point where he gives you information in voiceover that he wouldn't say in the scene, either because he's by himself or because he's a very quiet, kind of stoic type. So it did serve a purpose, and it did help, yeah.
I can see for some people it not working, but I understand why they decided to go down this route.
Yeah, I do as well, yeah. Yeah, when you've got a character that's so like closed off, you've got to kind of talk to the audience in some way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, if you're into more kind of slower or like artsy films, you'll appreciate it, because it is very well made. Like we say, the cinematography, the acting, the sound design, it's all brilliant. But if you're going into this thinking it's going to be some kind of action space adventure, it's really not that at all. So it just depends what your taste is, really.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a must-see blockbuster, but I feel like most people should at least watch this once.
I very much appreciate it on a technical level. I don't think I'd ever watch it again.
Yeah, we said that, didn't we, coming out? We were like, that was really like interesting, but I don't have any desire to watch it again, like, at least anytime soon. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we thought of Ad Astra. Let us know what you thought if you've seen it down in the comments. We've got a couple of things to plug really quickly as well. We've just set up a Twitter account for Fried Gold, and that is @gold_fried. We'll put a thing in text there probably. And also we've got a Fried Gold letterbox account where we'll just do a quick summary and then link this. So if you want to follow that, that is Fried Gold Media, as all one word. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And tune in, because we've got more videos on the way. We're making up for that gap. We're trying, anyway. Alright, thanks for watching this, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra!